What's good, y'all? First and foremost, Happy New Year. I hope you and yours are starting 2026 the right way. For me personally, I'm coming into this year with one goal. I want 2026 to be my most productive year on YouTube, period. More consistency, more uploads, more ideas actually turning into finished videos. So today we're doing New Year's resolutions for NBA teams, not the generic play harder stuff.
Everybody's trying to play the right way. Salute. Be aggressive.
I'm talking about the one decision each franchise needs to make in 2026 if they want to stop wasting time. For this one, we got 3 buckets: tankers slash rebuilders, retoolers slash competitors, and then the definitive contenders. For Indiana, the resolution is simple. Find the long-term answer at center. Miles Turner's gone, and right now Jay Huff is the guy holding that spot down. Halliburton will be back for the 2026-27 season. The core is still under contract, so Indiana's not quote-unquote done. But if they want to get back to real contention, they need a center they can actually build with, not just a temporary fill-in. So they should be active in the offseason. They might have to use real trade chips like Benedict Mathurin or Jarris Walker to land that long-term 5. Washington needs a real primary playmaker. Getting that guy could speed up the offensive development of Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, and Trey Johnson. Because right now, everybody's learning in chaos. And if we're talking big swings, Trae Young? If there's ever a lowest trade value moment, it might be right now. And if I'm Washington, I'm at least making the call just to test the value. New Orleans just needs to be realistic. This is not a playoff team, and they are likely going to end up giving away a top pick to Atlanta because of the Derek Queen trade. It's unfortunate, but the resolution for them is to cash out at peak value. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones should be extremely attractive to contenders at the deadline. Zion is different. He actually needs to display a stretch of star level play in order to rebuild his value, but either way, you have to stop pretending this core is about to click and chase a play-in tournament spot. Most importantly, the Pelicans need to commit to Queen and Fear's development. Sacramento, I'm not even trying to be mean. This roster is old, injury riddled, and poorly constructed. There is no path where this group is a real playoff team this year or the next, and a Trae Young trade does not magically fix that. So the resolution is tank with intention. Cash out on Russ and Dennis, see if anyone wants LaVine and DeRozan, and when Sabonis is healthy, you have to at least explore that market too. It's time to stop chasing false hope. For Brooklyn, do not repeat the mistakes of 2019. Sure, MPJ is playing like an all-star. Sure, the Nets might have a lot of cap space in 2027 and 2028. But do not get tempted into trying to build a super team with some big 3 through free agency again when your rebuild is actually moving in a steady direction. Cash out on MPJ while his trade value is high. Prioritize development, Yegor Joman, and whoever that 2026 pick becomes. And it's not just the headline young guys either. Drake Powell and Noah Clowney have both had really solid stretches where they look like real long-term pieces. That's what you build with. Don't rush the process. Charlotte's resolution is to pick a direction. Are we resetting with Con Knipple as the main focal point in trading LaMelo, or are we building around a long-term backcourt with Con and LaMelo, which is what I did in my rebuild? And the trio of Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, and LaMelo Ball has a ton of offensive upside. Scoring, spacing, shot creation, it can get scary. But the real question is, who's guarding? Can any of those 3 become a real point of attack stopper? Because if not, you're going to be asking the rest of the roster to cover up a lot. Another layer here is Brandon Miller's extension that is looming. It's coming a lot sooner rather than later, so Charlotte has to figure out the timeline and the fit now, not 2 years from now. Dallas has to commit to a real reset. You have to trade Anthony Davis at the deadline. Every day that passes, his value becomes harder to protect. See if there are any takers for Clay, and once Kyrie recovers, help him find a destination in the offseason. If he wants to compete, do right by him. And here's the big picture. Dallas needs to raise their draft standing in 2026 because they don't control their own picks for consecutive years after that. This is the best chance to add another top tier prospect next to Cooper Flagg. Maybe Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, AJ Dybonsa, and even if you don't land in the top 3, a guard with upside in that 4 to 8 range changes everything. Utah's resolution: stop chasing the play-in. Their 2026 pick is top 8 protected. And OKC is the team that's involved because of course OKC is the team that's involved. If the season ended today, Utah would only have about a 20% chance of keeping their own pick. So yeah, Sam Presti might have done it again and got another lottery pick in this upcoming draft. And in a draft class like the one of 2026, you have to tank. Utah already made the mistake of not tanking in the Wemby draft and ended up drafting at 9. That can't happen again. They actually don't even have a possibility of drafting at 9 because if their pick landed at 9, it would go to OKC. Utah needs to trade Lauri Markkanen, naturally get worse, and try to retain their pick. Then they need to commit to a real rebuild around Keontae, Ace Bailey, and that 2026 selection. And Chicago, same energy. Stop chasing the play-in. The Bulls have been stuck in mediocrity since Jimmy Butler left. 3 straight play-in appearances, no playoff appearances, and they already waited too long to trade LaVine and DeRozan. The resolution is to finally give yourselves a chance to add a real marquee young talent alongside Josh Giddey and Matas Buzelis. The Clippers' resolution is keep the future in mind. And I'm only putting them in this retooler / competitor section because of their roster construction, the age, the limited draft capital, and the lack of control of their own future picks. Because if we're being real, their record says they should be with the tank Commanders. But since they can't just bottom out, the front office has to stop with these desperate trades and signings to pretend this window is wider than it is. Even if they're on a 5-game win streak, so what? They're not one move away from contention. I'm not saying they need a tank because they don't have the picks to tank. I'm saying stop acting like only the present matters. Make low-key moves that add young prospects or draft capital when the time is right. Milwaukee just has to be realistic. Similar to the Clippers, do not sacrifice the future just to keep Giannis happy. I don't think they're one move away from contention either. So don't be afraid to pull the trigger on a Giannis trade if it's there. Start prioritizing the future of the franchise. Portland's resolution is to maximize Deni Avdia's contract. If Deni is playing like an all-star while getting paid like a 7th man in the rotation, that is a leverage window. Build a competitive team while that contract is a cheat code because the clock starts ticking the moment Dame returns next season. Atlanta's resolution: retool around the new face of the franchise, Jalen Johnson. The defense is abysmal when he shares the floor with Trey, and I think that the Trey situation might be hurting the team's morale as well. You need to trade Trey sooner rather than later and build around Jalen and whatever Atlanta can land with the Pelicans pick. For Memphis, taper expectations for Ja. He used to have MVP potential. I don't think he's getting back to that tier. And you can't expect him to play 60 plus games every year. It's unfortunate, but accepting the reality now is better than being disappointed every spring. Golden State's resolution is simple. Remind Draymond he does not run the franchise. It feels like he's had plot armor for years. Think about it. He basically helped KD out of Golden State. He punched Jordan Poole, and somehow Poole is the one that gets traded, not him. Klay Thompson's time ends as a Warrior before Draymond, which makes no sense. There's no way the Splash Brothers should have split up like that. It's been constant distractions year after year. And on top of that, he continues to be a starter even when at this stage of his career, he might need to come off the bench. So if there is a trade that makes you better and it involves Draymond, make the trade. Kerr cannot be afraid of adjusting his role as well. As Draymond's on-court ability fades, his off-court influence has to fade as well. Cleveland just needs to accept Evan Mobley's offensive ceiling. He's not going to be a reliable number 1 option. He's never going to have offensive aggression you'd want from your number 2. And he's probably never going to be an ideal spacer at the full-time power forward position. But Evan will be a perennial DPOY candidate. And he can be a great number 3 option on a contender. His spacing also looks way better when he's mostly a 5 next to a floor spacing 4. So, to maximize the team and to maximize Mobley, simply put, you have to trade Jarrett Allen. Miami, rebuild. Finally, even if everyone plays their best and stays healthy, this team is a first round exit at the absolute best. And I'm saying this even though they've been a good story this season. Powell keeping it going after a really good season last year with the Clippers. Davion Mitchell finding a home. Kel'el Ware showing real upside. But the ceiling is the ceiling. Even when Hero comes back, whenever that is, the health risk isn't going away. Embrace the future, take Kasparis' development seriously, give him real reps, prioritize Ware, and sooner rather than later, cash out on the value of Norman Powell, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. Orlando's resolution: don't overreact and split Paolo and Franz. This previous offseason, they went all in, trading for Desmond Bane. Expectations were high, and it hasn't looked as smooth as people thought. But patience matters. This is year 1 of the Paolo, Franz, Bane trio. Paolo and Franz are 23 and 24, and honestly, if you're thinking about major changes, you should think about trading Jalen Suggs before you entertain trading Paolo or Franz. Anthony Black is also playing the best basketball of his young career. And look, I'm not saying Paolo and Franz are the next Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but you never know. We've seen people get impatient with young star duos before, and sometimes patience is what pays off. Philly's resolution: focus on the positives. You can easily focus on the negativity. Embiid and PG missing games, a lot of money owed over the next 3 seasons, Grimes likely leaving at the end of this season, but there's a lot to celebrate if you're a Philly fan. Maxey is playing like an MVP level guy, VJ is one of the best rookies in the class, and that could be the backcourt of your future, especially with VJ on a rookie deal for years. And even with all of the injuries, the Sixers are still 6th in the East. If Embiid and PG can find rhythm and get healthy going into the playoffs, they can absolutely be a dark horse in the wide open Eastern Conference. Toronto's resolution is to maximize half-court offense. The offense cannot be transition or nothing. You still need a late clock package that travels. Scotty Barnes is the hub, rightfully so, but the structure needs to be clearer. More consistent pick and roll reads, more purposeful spacing, fewer bailout jump shots, and maybe long term you start Jamal Shed as the organizer and let him be the steady point guard in the starting unit, and use Emmanuel Quickley as the supercharged yet super paid 6th man. Toronto also needs shooting at the 2 through 4 spots, and I'm tired of waiting for Grady Dick to be a consistent sniper, so if that means a trade, so be it. Phoenix can't really rebuild. Booker's locked in long term, and they don't control enough of their own picks. Mark Williams is the long-term center, so the resolution is to find a reliable second option. Maybe they're exceeding expectations right now. Dylan Brooks' offensive leap helps, but if you want to return to contention, Booker needs help. The Suns were at their best with an actual point guard, not Booker playing point guard out of necessity. So yeah, a Trae Young trade is a thought, and they need to act sooner rather than later, even if they're trading for Trae or somebody else, because Kaman Malawak still has that former lottery pick allure. The more DNPs and limited minutes, the more value you lose. Malawak and Jalen Green are the young assets that could still entice a rebuilding team, looking to trade away a disgruntled star. Boston's resolution is obvious: big man acquisition. Neemias Queta has been good. Actually, he's been great, but they need more depth, especially because when he sits or when he faces larger centers, that weakness shows. With Jaylen Brown playing at an MVP level and keeping them top 3 in the East, they could be a Tatum return plus a center away from being a serious contender again. Minnesota's resolution: internal development. They've been better than their record suggests, but the cap situation limits their flexibility moving forward. Unless you roll the dice on a McDaniels or Randall trade, the path is developing Joan Berenger and Rob Dillingham. As Gobert and Conley continue to age, the need for their replacements grows, especially replacing Conley. Rob Dillingham, I know, has not looked great in his minutes, but you can't just give up on him. Minnesota gave up a future first round pick in order to select him in the draft. So they have to see it through and let him actually grow in his role. For the Lakers, one word: defense. Stop pretending you can outscore teams nightly. You need to find an identity that isn't just, hope we're hot from three tonight. Point of attack defense and transition defense have to become non-negotiable. Maybe LeBron and Luka lock in entering the second half of the season as the importance rises, but you still need personnel. Add an actual POA stopper by the deadline. As a Lakers fan, I'm hoping for someone like Keon Ellis or Herb Jones. And you also need a defensive center. Ayton was just a stopgap, not the long-term defensive anchor and lob threat Luka needs, especially if this is LeBron's last year in LA. If you're committing to a Luka Reeves backcourt, you need multiple definitive plus defenders in that starting group. Look at the 2024 Mavericks. That's the blueprint. Houston's resolution is still find the point guard. They've got athletes and defenders, but in the half court, you need an organizer, someone who turns chaotic possessions into good shots. And I know KD and Şengün are great in half court offense, but your offense just goes to another level when you have that much of a plus at the point guard position. And this need becomes really loud in the playoffs when teams get physical and pressure the ball, especially OKC. Too many games come down to who creates a clean look late, and that's where a steady point guard matters. Reed Shepherd has had a great year too, but I like him continuing to come off the bench, prioritizing scoring over playmaking. What are their options? Maybe Dennis Schroeder, maybe Trey Jones, or they keep developing Amen as their point guard, but in the playoffs, I prefer to have Amen as the secondary creator on the perimeter because you'll need a point guard that can actually shoot from outside and be a threat from there. And right now, Amen is not that. Up to this point, there have been games where late game execution gets a little weird because of the Şengün and KD dynamic, especially Şengün taking a couple of questionable shots. A real point guard would smooth all that out. Denver's resolution: get healthy. Their ceiling is still championship level when the main guys are back. They don't need a reinvention, they just need bodies. And I know their defense has been bad this year, I see it too, but that should improve once their best defenders get back from injury, Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon. They'll just have to manage minutes, avoid playing everyone 38 minutes in January, stabilize bench roles so Jokic doesn't have to carry every non-starter minute once he returns, hopefully in February. And honestly, just don't overreact. Get to April with continuity and health. San Antonio, win now. Wembanyama, Castle, and Harper are all making under $20 million per year. And the Spurs are the 2 seed. Wemby is going into the last year of his rookie deal next year. You have a cheat code window right now. So the front office needs to be aggressive. Like, not patient, not we'll see. I mean gun for the championship. Because very few teams have the return on investment that San Antonio has right now. Elite production from guys on rookie scale money. And you know a team that understood that and cashed in? The 2025 OKC Thunder. They were aggressive, they pushed the chips in, and it paid off. So for the Spurs, it's the same thing. Add an all-star level 3rd or 4th guy. Don't be afraid to trade Keldon, Barnes, Vassell as the money, plus Carter Bryant, or even Dylan Harper, depending on who the target is, along with draft capital. Complete the team while this ROI window is wide open. The Knicks need defensive depth on the wings. Their biggest vulnerability is when they face teams that have multiple players on the floor at the same time that can score in ISO situations. It matters the most because Brunson and Cat start together. They play a majority of their minutes together, and we know how limited they are defensively. So in addition to Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart, you need another wing defender who can guard up a position, survive screens, and close games without being hunted. And it can't be defense only. They need to hit open threes too, or at the very least, be very capable off-ball cutters. Also, it's injury insurance. OG has his history, Josh Hart is currently hurt. Options for them, I like Sadiq Bey, Najee Marshall, or internally, the development of Kevin McCullough. But the point is, the Knicks are going to need another real body to prevent matchup hunting in the playoffs. Detroit's resolution: pull the trigger on a trade for an offensive star. The defense is legit. Now they just need another scorer who bends coverage, especially when Cade gets blitzed. Cade is proving he can drive a top team. Now just go get him a running mate who can create against set defenses themselves. And don't wait forever, because the East is wide open and the timeline is earlier than people expected for this team. Also, Jalen Duren is coming up on the last year of his rookie contract. Asar only has 2 more seasons on his rookie contract. Target archetype for them is shot creating wing who can score from 3 levels and punish switches. Names that fit the bill: Lauri Markkanen, MPJ, Trey Murphy. Make the move while you're ahead and don't waste an elite defense in Cade's breakout season. Or I shouldn't say breakout season, don't waste Cade's MVP caliber season. OKC's resolution: keep the internal development machine going. That's been the secret ingredient. But with rookie extensions kicking in soon for Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, they're not going to be able to afford all the vets long term, guys like Hartenstein, Caruso, and Dort. So to keep the championship window open, recent draft picks have to turn into real rotation pieces you can trust in the playoffs. AJ Mitchell, Nikola Topic, and Thomas Sorber when they're healthy. And then their 2026 picks, the Clippers pick and maybe the Jazz pick. Because when the cap squeezes, the next wave has to be ready, as they have been in years past for this team. Those are my New Year's resolutions across the league. Drop yours in the comments and tell me which teams you think are most likely to make a big move in 2026, specifically the 2026 trade deadline that's only about a month away. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.